So, hi guys. As promised, I'm going to do a video here about slicing large objects on large printers. Now, I'm a founder of the ENIAC 40 page. I'll try and put a link in the description. Now, those of you that are watching this that are not part of the ENIAC 40 group, the ENIAC 40 is a large DIY printer. All the information's there on how to build it. Take yourself over to our ENIAC 40 group page, ask to join because it is a private group. You'll get accepted and then come on board, build a printer, and then obviously this video then becomes relevant to you. But we noticed, myself and Shay, the other guy who runs the ENIAC 40 page and printer, that there's not many videos out there explaining how to slice a large print, for instance, or a large object for your large surface printer. Now, we did a little video for about 15 minutes long last week on our page, on the ENIAC 40 video page on YouTube. So check that out first, because that just gives you some general tips about how to go about slicing large objects. But I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail today. This is probably going to be part one of maybe 2 or 3 videos, because I want to do a few different objects, because there's different ways to handle different scenarios. Now, I'm using Simplify 3D. I'm pretty sure Cura and Slicer and whatever slicer you use has similar options, but I'm just a big fan of S3D, so I'll be doing it mainly with that today. So, without further ado, let's get started. But before we do, actually, the first thing I would say, when you're slicing for a large object for a large printer, don't expect to chuck it in your slicer, hit save to disk and off you go, because you can't do that. There's a lot more work involved. I usually allow myself 45 minutes to an hour to slice an object ready for printing, just to be sure that everything's okay, because some of my prints are 7 or 8 days long. This print here that I'm going to show you how to set up is Optimus Prime helmet. Now, at the minute it's set up at 0.4mm Z layer height, but when I actually printed it, it was 0.2. So basically it took 6 days, but the quality was there. So 5 days in of a 6-day print, you don't want it to fail. So spending a little bit of time here will just guarantee that you have a successful print. So let's add the file. Here we go. So, as you can see, we have see if I can make this full screen. There we go. Okay, as you can see, we have Optimus Prime helmet there, or half of it, upside down. It's a helmet I've designed in CAD, because I'm into cosplay, and actually this is part of a 3.5 foot model of Optimus Prime, but anyway, this is the half of the helmet. So, the way I printed this is, to start with, you look at your object and you think, okay, that's a nice enough object, let's hit on it. We'll add support. So as you can see here, I'm clicking on generate automatic supports and bosh. Right, okay, so there's a heck of a lot of support there. So for instance, let's have a look at this. So let's slice it up. So as you can see here, the slicer started off low down. Let me just bring this up here. So, as you go down the model, look, you can see all of that support. Okay. So for me, in my mind, there's a better way of printing this to start off with. So let's change it a little bit. So let's put that over to the side. So let's clear the support so we can see what we're doing. Where are we? Clear all supports. Okay, so we see what we're doing now. So the way I printed this is I got the object and I tilted it, because obviously 45-degree angles you can print with no support. So the way I did it is, as extra tape, yeah. So I tilted it backwards. As you can see, it's tilting backwards. Center and arrange. So now, let's see what angle that's at. It's at 26 degrees. So let's make that 45. Okay. And let's see, for instance, what support that now generates. See. Okay, so there's still a lot of support there. but nowhere near as much. Can you see? Look, so you've got support around the bottom and around the middle. So all of a sudden, you've cut your support down to next to nothing. So let's bring that out here. Let's leave that there. Let's slice through it. Let's bring it down there. So as you can see here, look, as we slice through, there's a lot less support. I know that looks a bit crazy when you go through that bit, but a lot less support. So we're starting to make progress, which is good. But it doesn't end there. You might think, all right, okay, that's good. Let's hit print. No, because you're going to have a failed print straight away for a few reasons. First reason is, if you look at the bottom, let's clear the support. It always makes it easier to show. Remove existing support. Oh no, clear all supports. Okay, so if you look at the bottom here, I'll go upside down. It's a bit weird. Now there you go. Look, the only part connecting to the bed is that part there, and this part there, and there. And I don't think they're even connected. No, so literally it's just that part there. If you used to set that printing, the weight would just topple it. Okay, so first thing you need to do is, in this model, you decide whether you can afford to have a bit shaved off. I can, because it's going to be filled anyway. So what I would do in this case is I'd drop the model down. And the way I'd do that is move that out of the way. Go away. Okay, so Z offset. So I'm dropping it down. All of a sudden now, okay, so now you see it's chopped that bit off and it's going to start printing higher up, but that does give you more contact with the bed. Okay, so that's a good start. Now you can only do that on a model where you can afford to lose that, which I can, because there's two halves that will join together and I can just fill the gap. So, and as you can see now, these corner pieces have touched the build deck as well, so that makes that a lot better. But again, if you was to hit print, you're going to have an issue. Even that's still not enough. So the next thing you do, you can get helper. All I've done in Tinkercad is create, oh sorry, I'm a bit crazy, create some helper discs. Now all that is 0.5 millimeter or 1 millimeter, I think, sphere. Now what you can do is you can manipulate these. Now basically all they are is a homemade raft. Now the reason it's homemade, because if you did a regular raft, it wouldn't necessarily go exactly where you want it to go. So it's better that you make your own. So all this is an object, 1 millimeter thick or 0.5 millimeter, can't remember, and just extrude it a little bit so you have a little disc. Now what I would do is I'd grab my large version, I would stretch it out. So let's undo the scale and stretch it out. So get your thing in there, make that say 400%. Bingo, I've now stretched it out. So what I would do is I'd put that under there. So now all of a sudden you see that's connected to that part and you've got a lot more surface area, but I'm still not happy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it wider as well. Let's make it twice as wide, no, 3 times as wide. Okay, now I'm happy, because as you can see now there's a lot of part now in effect, because this is going to fuse with that, touching the build deck there. So I'm happy with that. But obviously you've got 2 more parts here and here. So we grab the little disc and we're going to manipulate that as well. So we're just going to make it, no, not quite that big. Hold on, oops, sorry. Bring that down to 1. Okay, so undo uniform scaling, put that up to 300. 300, because obviously you don't want it 3 times as thick. And then we're going to move that over to here. Then we're going to copy it. Okay, edit, copy selection, edit, paste selection. Okay, so as you can see now, oh, don't want to select them both. We have almost a home built raft. I'll explain why we do that and don't just use the raft option in a minute, because there's other parts you're going to have to raft up. So we're a lot better. So let's now generate automatic supports. Okay, so as you can see, it's a lot better. We've got more contact with the bed, because this is probably a maybe 1.5 kilo print. We've got support holding it in place, but if you have a look at the support here, I'm not happy with the support. And you might ask, why am I not happy? Because if you was to, oh, sorry, hold on, let's get this right. I'm trying to get the angle right. Right, okay, I'm just going to leave it there. So as you can see, some of these supports here and here, they're just single columns. Now, if you look how high they've got to go, they're going to topple. Okay, they're going to buckle and they're going to topple over. And you don't want that to happen. And also, there's only a small amount, again, in touch with the build bed. So if your nozzle accidentally bumps into this, it's going to knock it over. So there's two things we've got to do. First thing we've got to do is fatten up these supports. So we're going to add extra manual support. So I'm not going to do it to it all because it takes a good while. But for instance, you see this support here. If I go to support, add new support, I'm going to fatten it up by putting a lot more supports around it, because then it'll be linked more and the support will be a stronger structure. Doesn't have to be too neat. Okay, so, and then you would do the same about all the other parts. So again, these ones here, you would add more support and add more support. So let's quickly do this. And all you're doing is grouping support together. And I like to have, to be fair, all the support actually linked up. Don't have to, but that's because it's worth it to me, because if I'm doing a 7-day print, I don't want the support to fall over or to buckle or to whatever. And if it's all linked together, you're a lot more stronger structure. And also, keep in mind, if you look at this, look, that part hasn't generated support there, and there's nothing up to print on top. So always look at your model. Spend a bit of time adding the support that's needed where you think it's needed. And and the more you print, the more you'll figure it out. It's like even little prints, to be fair, but little prints you can get away with it, not so much on the big, and you don't want to get a couple of days in and then realise, damn it, you haven't added support. Okay, so if you imagine, I've fattened up all these, sorry about this, I'm not that great in my mouth. We've fattened up all these supports. I would then think, okay, there's still not enough contact with the bed. So what I would do is I would get out the support. I'd get my little helper disc. I would make a copy. Paste in. And I'm going to move that around. And, oh, no, I don't want to move that one. I'm going to move that to there. I'm going to copy in another one. I'm going to move that to there. Again, they may think that this is a waste of plastic. Well, you probably won't, but for me, this just guarantees that your support doesn't lift. It just gives you peace of mind. And to be fair, you're talking grams of plastic when you're printing a helmet or whatever you're printing. That's a kilo or 1.5 kilos of plastic. You're not going to be bothered about wasting a few grams on support if it's going to guarantee that that print is a success. So almost there. And as you can see, I'm just making sure every piece of support thereabouts. And I'm not doing it neatly, obviously. You would spend a lot more time doing it. I'm just trying to get this done in a video. And you would shape these a bit better, so they would be a lot better. Two more, we'll have 2 of them. There we go. Edit, paste. Okay, so last one. So, in effect, what we've done, we've added some helpers, which we've shaped accordingly. We've dropped the model into the bed a little bit, so you lose a little bit of the model, but it just gives more touch on the bed. And also, if I was to look at this model, I'm not going to do it because it takes too long, but if I was to look at this model, I'd think, right, okay, this is going to print. Let me show you. So as it's printing along, prints that as your base layer. Look, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. And if you look at this part here, it's going quite a way before any support is added. It gets to there, I think. Hold on. No. There's support. In fact, there's no support added almost all the way up. So in this respect, what I'd do if it was me, probably about that high up, I'd add some more support there. And then as it gets a bit higher, some more. So it's just taking the weight. Because if you think about it, the whole weight of the model up at this point is just on that little bit of plastic that's connected to the build deck. So the more support you have in, basically, the better. But you don't have to go ridiculous. Obviously, I spent time at the beginning changing the angle of the model, so you didn't need lots and lots of support. But even adding all this extra support that I've done manually, still probably about 20% of what was automatically generated if I was to print it in the orientation it was imported on. So, that being done, let's close that down. Let's have a look. Now, obviously, large prints are going to take time to generate. So I like S3D because it doesn't take too long, but we'll see. While that's happening, let's talk a little bit more. So as you can see on the top here, there's micro supports. I'd probably get rid of these because I don't feel they're that necessary. But you'll see as and when you do more bigger prints how you get on. Okay, so it's just generating G-code. Give it a little bit of time. And when you get through to the actual print preview, there's a few little tips and tricks you can do to manipulate it, to double check. And the key is to large prints really is to check. Check, check, check until you're absolutely fine. It's not something you want to do before you're just rushing out the door. You want to spend a bit of time just making sure everything's right. As you can see here, look, I've gone over my build deck, but in fairness, I would have spent more time doing it. So look, it's a little bit slow to move around. So the way I deal with this is I use one of these sliders, make the print a lot smaller and start from the bottom. And then obviously now I can maneuver quite well. So, and then you just watch your print. You walk through your print a layer at a time. So okay, it's going to print that. And let's have a look as an example of the support that would work and not work. So all this support here, completely fine. There's lots of it. Okay. These supports here, there, and obviously all these little ones here are not going to work. By the time they get 4 or 5 inches tall, they're going to buckle and break and probably get knocked over. So at this point, admittedly I would have done this before, but I'm just showing you. I'd go back now to the build and add more support. Link all this support together. Look, they're there. And these guys and that guy and all these, and then it just makes for a stronger model, okay, that prints. You don't want your print to fail. In this one, when I actually printed it, I did leave one probably about this size here that you can see that I'm pointing to, and it did buckle, and I had to get super glue out and glue some supports to the support to keep it in place to finish the print. But that was my own stupid fault for rushing the slice. So, as you can see, we're going to go up, we're going to go up, we're going to go up. And as you can see, just watch your print, make sure you're happy. And obviously there's places where you might want to add more support or take support away. And just get a feel really for how it goes. And then now it's getting a bit laggy. So laggy. So if you bring this other slider back to here, you've lifted it from the bottom. So again, you've still got good maneuverability if your computer's slow or if you're on a Mac like me. And then I can go up a bit more and then come across a bit more. So I'm just generally looking so I can manipulate the model without it going really slow because of your computer spec. Okay, as we look up, still checking And then we should be able to finish off. Okay. And then we're looking at that. All looks good to me. And then you can bring it back down again if you're not planning on doing any more movement. And then there's your model. So that's pretty much about it. So I'm going to come out of this exit preview. It may take a little bit of time. So I'm just going to recap. Okay, so helper discs. Make yourself some of them in Tinkercad. I could probably, or there's Thingiverse. Go over to Thingiverse. There's plenty of helper discs on there. It doesn't matter what size or shape because you can manipulate the scale into whatever shape you want. I feel round helper discs are better than square because you've got no corners and then therefore they don't lift from the build deck. So get your helper discs out. Make sure there's enough contact of the model with your build deck. Then you add your supports. You check all these little individual supports here. Make them bigger. Try and interconnect them with other supports. Then you put helper discs under the support so they've got a good firm base to build from. And then you just check your model a few layers at a time and make sure you're completely happy. And that's about it, really. Obviously, there's a lot of information in there. I hope that helps people out. And I hope a few of you who might watch this from other groups come along to our ENIAC 40, which is spelled ENIAC 40. Search it on Facebook. We're a group. Come and join us. Build yourself a 40 by 40 by 40 centimeter printer, which is what this was printed on. And just come and get involved. So, thanks for listening, guys, and stay tuned. I'm going to do a couple more parts of this where I cover different models because there's lots of different things we need to cover yet. This is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. Thanks very much, and speak to you soon.